guys ready? Yep. All right, we're going in 5, 4, 3. Today, our Hanging With segment is with a very old friend of mine. We cut a wide path through the Carolinas back in the 70s where we were both single and wrestling. And I want to welcome Jerry Brisco. Jerry, good to see you, my friend.
Les, it's bigger than a pleasure to be here with you after all these years. Congratulations on your new marriage. This is what, 15 now?
No, actually, only two. Only two. Right? Only two that counts. But we do go back a long way.
Wow, Les, we go back to 1970.
Right.
That's horse and carriage days, I think.
In this business, it was. Jerry Brisco had this great Mercedes Roadster, and we used to pop around all the towns in South Carolina and North Carolina in that Roadster, and we used to do some. What concert? We drove 110 miles an hour to get back for a Rod Stewart concert one night and missed it.
Rod Stewart at the old Memorial Field there in Charlotte, North Carolina. That little Mercedes was hopping down the interstate there, and I think they had an interstate at that time. I think it was Carolina's first interstate, but yeah, it was a Rod Stewart concert, and we got to hear the last Maggie May, and that was it. And you looked at me and, why didn't you get me here earlier? And well, if you hadn't had that girl back in the locker room there, I could have,
Okay, we're gonna. But seriously, the business has changed a lot since you and I got started. But still, the basics are still the basics. And when you're out scouting talent, that's exactly what you're looking for. The same thing you and I did 30 years ago.
Les, that's exactly right. Our business has evolved so much. It's off the charts now. And honestly, and I considered you a great athlete, and I considered myself a great athlete. But God, these kids that come along nowadays, they're just tremendous. They're every aspect of the business they got covered now. They're just they're trained properly. Their nutrition is so much better than what ours was. Their training techniques is so much better than what ours was. And especially yours, Les, I might add. But, it's still the same. I don't care. You still got to get a headlock out there. You still got to get a wrist lock out there. You still got to have that basic foundation. And then when I go out scouting different universities and looking at different amateur wrestlers, I look for the guys with the basic skills. The flash, you can teach them the flash, but that basic concept and the basic psychology of our business is the same as when it was with you and I out there.
Now you had something to do with the signing of Brock Lesnar, correct?
Yes, I did. One of my old teammates, Jay Robinson, head coach at the University of Minnesota, and won the last 2 national championships with his team up there, doing a tremendous job. I saw Brock's picture in a paper in Tampa, Florida, of all places, where I live, and I called Jay, and I hadn't spoke to Jay in years and years, so it was kind of good to renew the relationship. And I was asking him about Brock, and at the time Brock still had a year left. And, oh, please don't touch him. Don't offer him anything right now. He'll win a national championship for me. And so I went up and met with Brock, and also a young superstar we'll be seeing in the near future. Sheldon Benjamin was Brock's teammate up there, and Jed also told me about Sheldon. And so I went up and interviewed them, and wow, what personalities they had, and what sense of right they had, and just good people. And that's the kind of people that you want to bring into this profession.
The one thing that through all these interviews, I've talked to JR, I've talked to several of the guys, is the passion. And I think that's the one thing. They talk about old school, but our generation definitely had the passion.
Well, yes, we did have the passion. I mean, and it was barbaric days back in our days. I mean, compared to what these guys have now. I mean, we would travel 300 miles in a night, and quite honestly, make 35 to 50 bucks and buy us a 6-pack of beer and enjoy ourselves on the way back. And nowadays, these guys fly coast to coast. We have charter planes for them. We have meals catered for them. We have everything taken care of for them right now. And but you know what, Les? They still have that passion. The good ones still have that passion. You couldn't make it. This business, no matter how rough we had it, this business today is just as rough on you mentally, just as rough on you domestic at home. If you're married and have a family, you're still on the road, it still takes a large toll out of your personal life, and you got to have a passion or you're not going to make it even today.
You're absolutely right. You're working in executive capacity now, and I know that your family's growing. Your kids, my God, you got grandchildren already?
No, Les.
I had to throw that in. Had to throw that in. But what does Jerry Brisco see himself doing, say, 5 years down the road?
Well, we all, when you have the passion for this industry as we have, it's like a boxer. You can't retire. You can't get away from it 100%. My dear friend Pat Patterson, every year he says he's going to retire, and I said, yeah. But I'm getting to the same point now where I'm probably not. I don't want to get away from this industry because I love it, and it's what I know, and it's what I do. In Tampa, Florida, I'm an assistant volunteer wrestling coach at a local high school, Sickles High School, and we're going to go undefeated this year. I've got a returning state champion, a returning state finalist, and both of those kids went to the Nationals, became All-Americans this summer, and I helped start that program from scratch. We started with 3 members, my 2 sons and one of their friends, and now we're the second largest wrestling club in Hillsborough County and one of the largest in the state of Florida. So that's a passion of mine. I want to stay involved with the amateur wrestling and develop those guys. I want to go on a road and scout some of the Brock Lesnars and Sheldon Benjamins and the Kurt Angles, those type of guys out there, and get them involved in our business. That's what I kind of look for in the future. You can't walk away from this business.
No, you can't ever quit. You're absolutely right. One of the things we want to do before we wrap this up is give a cheap plug for the Brisco Body Shop. I don't have a T-shirt, by the way, but I should.
Yes, you should, and I'll take it up with my brother Jack. He's on the finance committee there at the Brisco Brothers Body Shop, Tampa, Florida. Worth the drive. If you're ever in Tampa, come on by. We love to see every wrestling fan from all over the world, unless they do drop in. I think it's probably the most famous auto body shop in the world, and we enjoy the fans coming by. We got fans from Europe. I mean, it's amazing, and they come up and they take pictures of our shop and stuff like that, and it's really nice to meet the fans. And that's one thing, Les, that I think you excelled at back in your days, and I excelled in my days. We related to the fans, and that's part of the passion, and you don't want to lose that. And I enjoy and thank every single one of the wrestling fans, because without them, what would we have?
You're absolutely right. And Jerry, I want to tell you something, that the time we spent together was some of the most fun that I've ever had for a young man in my life. Of course, I'm paying for it now with my health.
Let's talk about some of those stories. Les, you remember, let me take over this interview. Les,
right.
I'm Jerry Brisco, and I'm sitting here with Les Thatcher, an international and a huge star in the Carolinas. And there were a couple of apartment complexes in Charlotte, Les, that I think your name is still on the barred list. Would you care to go into some of those stories? I remember one night in a swimming pool in some apartments there, and you had that little Miss Concord from, I think she's from Concord, North Carolina.
Are you trying to shorten my married life here?
No, I'm not. So, pull, scratch, 86.
Let me tell you about the great sound system he had in his apartment with all these flashing lights and all the mood lights and everything. But you know what? You brought a lot to the table, you and Jack both. You guys are what this business is about. And I'm proud to say I'm your friend, and it's always been a pleasure, and I'm proud to say I've been able to work with you.
Les, always my pleasure, and you're always one of the guys that seem to pop up in our conversations, because you were such a part of the Brisco's career, and you were a little older than me, I admit it.
A little, yeah.
And you took a young rookie under your wing there in North Carolina, and not only showed me the life inside the ring, but the life outside the ring. Thank you very much.
We've been hanging with a guy who's about to give me a divorce today, my old friend Jerry Brisco.